The University of the Highlands and Islands HighLinks project has provided a free service for businesses across the Highlands and Islands, helping them to develop and prosper through greater access to the knowledge, expertise and technology available in Scotland's universities, colleges and research institute. The project, funded by Highlands and Islands Enterprise, the European Regional Development Fund and UHI, encouraged productive knowledge transfer between small businesses and the university sector through a programme of explaining and promoting the potential for collaboration. This was done by matching SME needs to academic expertise and opportunities, bringing both parties together to discuss potential collaboration and championing new projects. It was all about human networking, face-to-face events, visits and meetings, bringing the business and universities together on collaborative development projects and accessing public sector funding to part finance the work, no matter where in the Highlands and Islands the business was located. Based around a triple helix principle, where you have universities, businesses and the public sector all working together to develop innovation, the HighLinks project added an important factor of connectivity to compensate for the remoteness, rurality and fragility of the region. Joe Irvin explains how this was implemented and how well it worked for the Highlands and Islands of Scotland.
In remote and rural areas, there may not be a presence of a university in your local area. There may not be even a public sector, and sometimes community is there instead of businesses. So it's getting those people together and connecting them up so that they have opportunities to learn what kind of opportunities that there is to work together and the benefits of it. And so I think that the key issue is trying to connect up the triple helix. Well, connectivity, I would say, is things like bringing people closer together, either physically or electronically. So it could be just something like building roads, it could be like that sort of infrastructure, transport, that sort of thing, or it could be communications, so better broadband, more video conferencing facilities. And the other thing that's really important, and probably the critical thing, is that human connectedness, that human networking. How do you get people to talk to each other? And there's no substitute, I don't think, for face-to-face interactions in that. So you really need to go to these places and talk to people face-to-face, at least at the outset, and then you can back that up with various different types of communication technology to take projects forward. But it's that connectivity, pulling the strands of the triple helix together and forcing that kind of interaction, which won't happen in remote rural areas unless somebody does it.
Copernicus Technology Limited provides products and services that enable clients, primarily in the aerospace industry, to maintain the system integrity of their electrical and electronic equipment and systems. With the help of HighLinks, the company was able to identify an academic partner to work with. They were assisted in securing a Scottish Funding Council innovation voucher to work with Lewes Castle College UHI on a collaborative feasibility project to help develop their existing products and services for different markets.
The basis of the idea builds on what we already do at Copernicus Technology, because we import a test set that's made in the States, and it's the best test set in the world at detecting intermittent faults. And that's important because they cause a lot of problems in aerospace, because they cause a problem called no fault found, where the pilot reports a fault, the engineers try and fix it and the fault comes back, or they can't fix it at all because the symptoms disappeared because it's intermittent. This test set detects that, and that's what it was invented to do. So that was when we started to get the idea that we could use this for prognostics, and prognostics is a predictive approach to making something more reliable and more available and maintainable. And at the same time, we started to become involved in the aerospace and defence knowledge transfer network, which is all about bringing together academia, and public sector and industry. So we'd started becoming involved in that, and that had given us the idea that perhaps where we need to look was not to industry, but perhaps to academia. And at the same time, HIE said to us, have you looked at the HighLinks scheme, because here's an opportunity to tap into the expertise, if it's the right expertise for our project, and to tap into funding to support that, to enable us to work together to do a project to be taken forward into something bigger later on.
The project was so successful that they're looking to create new employment. They're also at an advanced stage of discussions with global brand aerospace businesses who are looking to invest significant funding into further R&D work in the near future. Dan Medical signed a licensing agreement with the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Glasgow, which resulted in the subsequent introduction by the company of a new product using cutting-edge diagnostic software developed by senior academics. The successful collaboration was facilitated by HighLinks in partnership with Interface, the knowledge connection for business. Mike Erickson from Dan Medical explains some of the issues involved.
I think it's quite difficult, like lots of things when you're in a rural environment. There may be an idea that is with a person 50, 60, 100 miles away from the centre, and it's very difficult for those individuals to get together around the table once a week at all, even because of infrastructure and all the rest of it. So I think rural communities do have difficulties when they have ideas, innovation, collaboration ideas to get together, and I think that's perhaps one of the gaps in funding and bringing people together in rural areas. It's so difficult to do that as it is in healthcare and transport in other areas. Research is exactly the same.
Alchemy Plus is a multidisciplined IT support business with a cloud provision, standard network support services and bespoke software development. Their chairman, Peter Swanson, knows the value of interaction with academia for remote and rural businesses.
I think the links between university in the Highlands and rural businesses and remote businesses is actually paramount, that these links are made very strong. I think there's an opportunity for the small businesses particularly to get services and to get really an expertise that they could probably not afford in-house, and use that to develop the business, to innovate and to grow. And in the Highlands and in a rural area, growth of the economy and the communities is paramount.
The main thing that Highlinks did, once we'd been referred to them by Highlands and Islands Enterprise, was we had an initial meeting with them, explained what we wanted to do with prognostic fingerprint technology in terms of the concept and the R&D that would be required, and we'd already identified what specialist expertise we might need to take the full project forward in the future, and they helped to identify the right people to liaise with in University of Highlands and Islands that would have the right expertise. Highlinks were always there in the background if we needed them, but they were also hands-off once we were up and running because they needed us to let us sort of get on with the project, but we knew they were there if they needed us, and then at the end of the project we just fed back into Highlinks to let them know the project had been completed and what the outcomes have been.
Highlinks could possibly help, and the European community can possibly help by taking this into consideration, and then the funding that's available has some sort of element of travel, infrastructure, expense wrapped into it, so it makes it it opens up the avenues, the channels for people to collaborate by using things like video conferencing and other forms of communication. So it makes, as part of the project, a factor in that is you take into consideration distance to bring people together, so you can speed the conversation up and the projects up.
We all tend to think a wee bit concentrically, and in the Highlands a lot is focused around, say, Inverness. But I know from my travels, and I've been in business for 40 years now, that there's a huge amount of very, very good practice, innovation and excitement out there, and we need to find it, we need to link it with others, and we need to get the benefit of that.
The Highlinks project was chosen by the UNICREDS partners, made up of representatives from remote and rural areas from 7 different EU countries, as the best example of good practice undertaken across Europe. The Highlinks project showed positive outcomes in the number of new products, processes and linkages within the triple helix. It led to increased sales for rural companies, saw jobs safeguarded and new jobs created in a peripheral area of the European Union. This success was achieved through improving the connectivity of links between business, academia and the public sector.
Well, our situation in the Highlands and Islands is that we've got lots of remote, rural, isolated communities scattered throughout the region, and it's very difficult to see how the models that's coming out from the EU, particularly the triple helix model, fits in that kind of environment. The triple helix model is where you have universities, businesses and the public sector all working together to develop innovation and to have an innovation system. And within our region that might and might not be appropriate, and we have a large number of micro businesses that may not be best served with current funding support for this kind of innovative work. So what we want to do is see whether there's a new way to look at this. And the UNICREDS project is set up to do that.
We couldn't have got a potential industry partner on board to take this forward in the future without having done this project. And so I think it's really important that this mechanism and the funding for this mechanism is available in the future, so that other projects like this can be taken forward, because without it in this case, prognostic fingerprint technology wouldn't be a reality, we wouldn't be taking it forward. And I'm sure there's lots of other projects out there with businesses in a similar position to us that want to take their ideas forward. And without this kind of innovation approach and funding in the EU, a lot of those won't see the light of day. So my recommendations would be more of the same, please.